All right, we're going to get started. And we are recording, so I'm going to explain the challenge for all those that might not have any clue what I'm talking about. But we, the people that you see on this screen and maybe others that you know, are involved with supplements from Plexus, all kinds of supplements, powders and capsules of all different kinds. And we are feeling so much better than we were before we started on the products. And I know that's my story and my husband, and we have 8 children and their spouses and our grandchildren. So we love these products, and it helps us regain our health from the inside out. Last summer, I was talking to a friend, and she said, Bonnie, have you tried intermittent fasting? She said, it's so great. I eat from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., and that's it. And I thought, you only eat 3 hours a day? She said, yeah, that's my window. And I thought to myself, that's great for you, but I will never do intermittent fasting because I love to eat. And I'm not only eat, if I ate with just 3 hours, I'd probably eat everything in my refrigerator. But then in 2020, I started hearing testimonies from people that I know really well, and I started asking them about it. And they were also taking Plexus products, and they said, oh, Bonnie, they said the combination of Plexus products and intermittent fasting is fabulous. And I said, do you really have to fast for 21 hours? They said, no, it's up to you. They suggested that I start with 12 hours, but I never did it. And now I'm going to be held accountable in this challenge. The challenge is free. Anybody can join. Just let the person know that told you about this. It's going to be 2 weeks and it's going to be fun. And I'll explain that more later. We do have really huge grand prizes, and I'll explain what you need to do in order to win them. But it's a time to really learn about it. And I believe that it will make the difference that many of us are seeking. And I'll explain a little bit more after Anna, one of our team members, gives a brief testimony.
Thank you, Bonnie. I just found out this morning that October is Women's Health Month, and I was like, that's so awesome, you know. And I just want to congratulate everybody that is investing in themselves, and because your families will definitely thank you. I have been doing IF off and on in the past few years. I think I first tried it when I had a bulge disc. I was in a lot of pain. I had, now and then I'd have pain on my whole right side. Of course, I was doing exercises. I used a lot of Ease, my favorite anti-inflammatory. Plexus pills, yep, Bonnie's got them. If you don't know about them, you should check them out. But that's when I started researching more, like what things can I do for less inflammation? Because if I had a lot of inflammation, then I had more pain. And so I used to think IF was a diet. And so I realized, well, people are saying you have less inflammation. And so I slowly started, like in the evenings after supper, no more eating. That's where I started, like just no more eating. It's easy when you're putting away food, you kind of, eat that last brownie, or when you have a family movie and the chips and the popcorn comes out. And I started realizing I feel so much better in the morning if I don't have that, like I'm just not as bloated and inflamed if I stop eating, say 6 or 7, whenever our family meal is done. And then from there, I kind of over time started adding, not eating till after the kids went to school, and eating later in the morning. So now I do a window of like an 8-hour eating window from like 10, 11 to 6 or 7 in the evening. And that has worked very well for me, but it's definitely, I'm excited to learn more, but that's an area I've found it really helps is with inflammation.
And Anna, did that help your bulging disc or the pain?
If I have less inflammation, then I have less pain, but I did do physical therapy and different things for that.
Right.
So
yeah, one thing I'm learning, and I'm embarrassed a little bit or a lot, is I loved biology in college. I took every biology course I could take. And then I taught biology to high school students for many years. And so I know about cellular energy. And I know that there's the best form of cellular energy. And it's important how our cells use that energy correctly, so that each cell is at its ultimate healthy point. Because if you get a lot of unhealthy cells, it's exactly what Anne is talking about. Well, intermittent fasting helps create that good energy, because we eat too much in America. We eat too often. We eat too many carbs. We eat too many sweets. We have these little nibbles, even at night. If you, just after supper, if you're just eating a handful, you think it's just a handful of pretzels or a handful of popcorn, that messes up our system. We need a longer period of time to fast so that the liver can draw the fat that it needs to create energy for the cells that's healthy, so that it keeps our cells healthy. So we can use all the supplements and they do a fabulous job, but how about if we marry it into intermittent fasting? And so I guess I should have known all that from teaching biology all those years, but I really wasn't aware and wasn't thinking about it. And we have Lenora. Lenora, I wonder if you could, I don't see Jana here. So Lenora, would you be ready to give your testimony?
Yeah, sure. I'm not driving, by the way. I am in the car. My husband was driving. Just a little disclaimer. So I started Plexus 3.5 years ago as a tired, bloated mommy with extra weight. And I very quickly learned while being on my supplements that I suddenly had more energy that I didn't have before. My cravings, I just had more control over what I was eating. I didn't have that intense desire to drive 5 miles to get a Snickers bar anymore. My digestion was better. I struggled really bad with constipation. So like our probiotics really helped with things like that. And I did drop some weight, just having more energy, having more control. I did lose about 15 pounds just doing that, in addition to what I was already doing. But then I hit a plateau. And I was not changing anything. I was just doing the normal stuff. And at one point I was like, okay, I still have 10 more pounds to lose. And I need to do something different, because what I'm doing isn't knocking those last 10 off. So I looked into intermittent fasting because I identified that my eating patterns needed to change. My evenings, that was my problem. I would get the kids to bed and I would bust out the chips and the ice cream and all the things, because I knew doing it in secret was probably better so my kids didn't all see me eating crappy. But I knew it wasn't good for me. And I would wake up bloated and yucky, and I didn't feel great because I was doing that to myself. So I started intermittent fasting along with my Plexus products. And within like a couple of months, actually, I broke through that plateau.
So what do you think, Xander? Is that granola a good option?
Oh, there we go. Okay. But very quickly, after trying intermittent fasting along with my supplements, I actually lost another pant size. So, and then I was able to lose more weight too. So I dropped down and lost that additional 10 pounds that I was looking to lose. And my gut health actually improved even more because I wasn't bloated in the morning then anymore. My stomach was flatter and I didn't have to do anything different. I was just, I still ate the same amount of food except for the crappy food that I ate at night, because I wasn't eating during that time. It wasn't during my window. And then I was less inflamed. I noticed my face got even less puffy and a little more lean. So what I loved about adding the two is that it's been sustainable, because I've been able to maintain my current weight now for the last 2 years while doing intermittent fasting along with Plexus supplements. And yeah, and I don't deny myself anything. I think that's what I love, is that it's not a diet.
Thank you. So we've heard about inflammation, and we've heard about Lenora in so many different ways has noticed the differences. And something else that I work with the elderly. I'm a volunteer with Office of Aging, and I'm not sure why this happens, and I'm not putting a blame on anyone. But if you're involved in a nursing home at all, or a facility like that, the patients are given snacks before bed. And I've listened to hours now this week about intermittent fasting. One of the best things that you can do if someone starts to lose their memory, or maybe the beginning signs of dementia, or just have brain fog, the best thing, and this was on site, medical site, MedDoc and everything, medical site after medical site, the best thing you can do is not eat between supper and breakfast for better brain, memory, focus, and health. I never knew that. And so we're talking about from teenagers all the way up. This is going to help. And I'm not saying it's going to be, I still haven't tried it because I don't want to fail. I know that I need accountability. So a couple things we're doing in this challenge, and again, this video is going to be shared, this recording, so you can ask the person that shared it with you to put you into the Facebook pages. But we're going to be sharing tips for meal planning. And I might be a little biased, but our team has the best recipes. I don't think anybody can beat our recipes. Anna, I'm eating your breakfasts pretty much every morning. Denise shared some recipes that I eat for lunch. I'm using one of her desserts. We have such healthy anti-inflammatory recipes. That's all going to be on the site. We're going to have testimonies every weekday. It's free to learn all these things. And there's a free app for your phone. I'll put the information. I'll make sure you get the information. And within the app, we are what's called a circle of friends. Like Plexus is so much more than I could have imagined. It's so much more than feeling better, although who doesn't want to feel better? It's a community of friends, and we have a name. Like, I just feel like super important. I never even had this app before an hour ago, but now I feel like I'm really part of some kind of in-crowd. So you'll also be part of it. It's a private circle where we can talk to each other, we can pray, we can list things, we can just compare, not in a bad way. We're here to help each other. There are products that you can pick from. I would encourage you to use products. If you haven't tried these Plexus products, this is the month. And yes, Anna, this is October Women's Health Month, and these products are on sale, and there are so many bonuses. And we have grand prizes, and the grand prizes do require you to have a small bundle of products that you will be so happy that you used. And Jana, would you be willing to give a piece of your testimony now?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Can you hear me just fine? Great. So I started embracing intermittent fasting actually 2018. And I will just briefly say that I had a journey of almost a decade of trying to learn how to manage and overcome autoimmune symptoms. And it was very interesting because so many of the things I learned that would combat that, I was finding out that intermittent fasting would actually boost all of those things that I was trying to do. It would basically level up that, I guess is the way I should say that. And I want to tell you this analogy because it really helped me at those times when I was, wanted to kind of say, forget it. So in our body, we have things, it's a machine basically, and it's working, and it works really hard. And one of the things that we know with Plexus, and one of the things we love about Plexus is the fact that the products help our blood sugar regulation. And so every time we eat, that is causing the and it works for several hours. And then, a lot of times if we don't wait 3 to 4 hours to eat, then it's just having to go back into work again. It doesn't get a coffee break. And so when you're doing that all day long, when you wake up and you start eating and you're eating until 10 o'clock at night, your poor body is really almost going into overdrive. So I learned that that's what was happening. And the analogy that helped me is think of it as a freezer and a refrigerator. When we are hungry and we want to just go to the refrigerator and open the door, we can find something easy. We can find an apple, an orange, a piece of cheese. We can maybe open up a pickle jar, and whatever we take out, we can eat right away. It's readily available. And that's what it's like when we are eating, okay? But when we are preparing dinner for our family, or we are wanting to, get something from the freezer, like say chicken, or even we're wanting some fruit that's frozen, we're going to have to wait a bit, right, until we eat that. So when we fast, that is accessing the freezer, and the fat sits in the freezer. And it's not about weight, gals. I know, like, I lost this many pounds, I lost that many pounds. I don't mean it wrong, but like, who cares? Because who is picking you up to see how much you weigh? You know what I mean? What we're wanting for our health is for our bodies to rid itself of fat. Fat is in the freezer. When we fast at least 12 to 13 hours, then we are accessing the freezer. So I hope that analogy helps. As far as how it helped me or that is me, I deal with hypoglycemic type of symptom. And what's very interesting is when you have that tendency, then your hunger and full signals aren't very strong. And so it is just like, it's confusing because sometimes you think you're hungry, you have those feelings, but that's not really what's happening. It's just that you're not regulated correctly. And when I started intermittent fasting, that helped those signals become very, very, very clear. I could eat less because I would get full, and then I could go longer in between because I wasn't as hungry. So those are the two things that it did for me the most. And then I really did see inches lost around my middle. So that's my little IF story.
That's a lot of story. That's amazing. That analogy does help me. I did not realize the importance of fat. I did not realize that. And you know what? You talk about the trigger and the regulations. I think I have a problem with that. I didn't know there was a name for it, but you've just explained me, and I didn't know that. So we're going to learn a lot together in this challenge. And if you've never been part of a Plexus challenge, one of the many, many reasons I love Plexus is there's no drama and there's no judgment. We are a community of like-hearted women, and really our goal, because Anna and I were sharing and comparing at the beginning of this Zoom, we're both really nervous to do this. Like, I'm gonna have to change shirts when I'm done because I get so sweaty and nervous. So we don't do this out of just, we do this because we care about other people. Everybody on this Zoom cares about other people. We care about regaining our health to be the best person that God created us to be and to fulfill our destiny. So thank you for my people sharing. Does anybody want to add anything? Okay, all right, thanks everybody. I will somehow figure out how to turn this recording into something that you can share as a link. If anybody is techie, you can message me afterwards. Thanks again, everybody.